It was a typical Saturday afternoon in Los Angeles when 17-year-old Jake Martinez's life changed in a way he never could have imagined. While walking home through his neighborhood, Jake stumbled upon a wallet lying on the sidewalk. Inside, he found a stack of cash, credit cards, and an ID with the name Elon Musk printed clearly across it. Confused but resolute in his sense of integrity, Jake made the decision to return the lost wallet. Little did he know, the wallet would lead him into a world far beyond his modest corner of LA. Jake had grown up in a cramped two-bedroom apartment with his parents and younger sister Sophia in a working-class neighborhood on the outskirts of the city. Though Los Angeles was a city of dreams and opportunities, for Jake, it had always felt like an overwhelming place. His family struggled financially, and every dollar they earned was hard-earned. Still, Jake was determined to create a future for himself, one that would take him far beyond the limits of his circumstances. His parents, Manuel and Teresa, both worked hard. His father as a mechanic in a small shop, his mother cleaning homes for families in more affluent areas. But money was always tight. College seemed like a distant dream. Jake had always been the quiet, introspective type, content to lose himself in books and technology rather than in social scenes. Despite his passion for all things tech and engineering, he often felt that his aspirations were just out of reach, buried beneath the weight of his family's financial struggles. Still, Jake was determined. He loved designing and building small gadgets, using whatever he could get his hands on. He'd often fix broken radios, computers, and even phones for neighbors, learning as much as he could about electronics. It was his escape. His dream was to one day attend a top engineering school and work for a company like Tesla or SpaceX. But as he stared at his bank account every month, Jake knew that getting there wouldn't be easy. His parents simply didn't have the money to pay for college, and he couldn't help but feel the burden of having to figure it all out on his own. To make extra money, Jake worked part-time jobs, tutoring younger students, dog walking for his neighbors, and working a few hours at the local coffee shop. Every dollar he earned went straight into his savings. Still, every day felt like a struggle. But even as he worked, Jake held on to the belief that everything would work out if he just kept pushing forward. One thing Jake never could shake, though, was the constant fear of failure. What if he couldn't keep up with the demands of school and work? What if his dreams of going to college would be crushed because he couldn't afford it? These thoughts gnawed at him, but he didn't let them define him. He kept working, hoping that someday he would get the chance to prove himself. It was a warm Saturday afternoon when Jake's life took a turn, though he didn't know it yet. After his weekly tutoring session, he decided to take a different route home through a small alleyway in his neighborhood. The streets were a bit quieter today, with only a few people passing by. The sun was beginning to dip in the sky, casting an orange glow over everything, and the air smelled faintly of street food and summer dust. As Jake walked, something shiny caught his eye. It was a sleek black wallet lying on the ground next to a stack of old newspapers. It looked too new, too expensive, to belong in a neighborhood like his. Curious, Jake picked it up. The leather felt smooth and soft in his hands, far more luxurious than anything he had ever owned. He opened the wallet and immediately saw several bills stuffed inside. His eyes widened at the amount of cash. It was more money than he had ever seen in one place, let alone in a wallet that had just been carelessly left on the street. But what really made Jake's heart race was the name on the driver's license inside: Elon Musk. Elon Musk, Jake thought, staring at the ID in disbelief. The name was unmistakable. The CEO of Tesla, the visionary behind SpaceX, the man whose ambitious ideas had made headlines around the world. This can't be real, Jake thought. He looked at the wallet again, then back at the ID. The logo on the wallet, sleek and embossed, matched the logo on Tesla vehicles. It all seemed too strange to be true. Jake turned the wallet over in his hands. The idea of keeping it, of taking the cash, crept into his mind. He was a teenager with no savings, and this could solve so many of his problems. His family needed money. His parents were behind on rent this month, and Sophia's school fees were coming up. What if no one ever knew? Jake thought briefly. He could keep the wallet, and no one would be the wiser. But even as the thought crossed his mind, he felt a sense of unease. That wasn't who he was. He had been raised to be honest, to do the right thing, even when it wasn't easy. Returning the wallet, even with all the cash inside, was the only option. He knew that. His parents had always told him that integrity was more important than any amount of money, and this was his moment to prove that he could live by those values. With a deep breath, Jake made up his mind. He would return the wallet. The journey to Tesla headquarters. Jake knew that returning a wallet like this wouldn't be easy. How would he even get it to Elon Musk? The address for Tesla's headquarters in Palo Alto wasn't exactly close. It was over 350 miles away, and Jake didn't have a car. He considered just showing up at the local Tesla dealership. But what were the chances that they could get the wallet to Musk himself? Still, he had to try. There was no other choice. Jake set out on foot toward the nearest bus stop, wallet still in hand. As he walked, his thoughts raced. What if they didn't believe him? What if they thought he was some sort of scam artist trying to steal from a billionaire? It was a possibility, but the more Jake thought about it, the more he realized that he couldn't leave it behind. The bus ride was long, and by the time Jake arrived in Hawthorne, he was exhausted. The sun was setting, casting long shadows over the Tesla headquarters. It looked like a futuristic temple to innovation, a place where the future was created. Jake hesitated outside the building, wondering if he was even in the right place. But after a moment of doubt, he walked inside, the wallet tucked safely in his bag. The receptionist at the desk looked up when he approached, eyebrows raised. "Can I help you?" she asked. I found a wallet," Jake began, unsure of how to explain. "It belongs to Elon Musk. I want to return it." The receptionist looked skeptical. "Elon Musk's wallet?" she repeated. Jake nodded. "Yes, I didn't know what to do, but I thought it was the right thing to do. It's his wallet." After a long pause, the receptionist picked up the phone. Jake felt the weight of every second stretch on forever. He couldn't believe this was happening. This had to be a mistake. How could he, a 17-year-old kid, have the chance to meet one of the most famous entrepreneurs in the world just because he found a wallet on the street? The receptionist finally put the phone down. "Follow me," she said, gesturing for Jake to follow her down the hall. They stopped in front of an office, and the receptionist knocked lightly before opening the door. Jake stepped inside, feeling like a fish out of water. Elon Musk himself was sitting behind a desk, tapping away on a laptop. He looked up when they entered, and Jake's heart skipped a beat. "Elon Musk?" Jake said nervously, his voice cracking. Elon smiled and stood up. "Jake Martinez, I assume? I heard you found my wallet." Jake nodded, still in disbelief. "Yes, sir. I just wanted to return it." Elon walked over to him, shaking his hand. "Thank you," he said sincerely. "You have no idea how rare it is for someone to do the right thing in a world where it's all too easy to take what doesn't belong to you. You could have kept it, but you didn't. That speaks volumes." Jake's head was spinning. This is real. This is actually happening. Elon Musk was standing in front of him, and he was thanking Jake for doing the right thing. But Elon wasn't done. "Tell you what," he continued, "I like people who do the right thing. I'm always looking for talented, motivated individuals. How would you like to come visit SpaceX? I'd love to show you around." A life-changing experience. The next few weeks were a blur for Jake. After that fateful day, Elon personally invited him to visit SpaceX and Tesla headquarters. What began as a simple act of kindness, returning a lost wallet, soon turned into a life-changing opportunity. Jake spent the following month working alongside engineers at Tesla, learning about cutting-edge technology and seeing firsthand the work that went into making electric cars and space travel a reality. Jake's internship wasn't official yet, but Elon's mentorship opened doors that Jake never thought possible. He spent weekends shadowing engineers, discussing sustainable energy, and imagining the future of technology. Elon had taken an interest in Jake, seeing potential in him that Jake had never seen in himself. One afternoon, after Jake had been interning for a few weeks, Elon called him into his office. "Jake," he began, "I think you've got what it takes to make it in this industry. Your curiosity, your dedication, these are qualities I look for. I'd like to offer you a scholarship to attend one of the best engineering schools in the country. It's time for you to stop worrying about money and focus on your future." Jake could hardly believe his ears. Elon Musk, the man he had admired for years, was offering him a scholarship. And not just any scholarship, but one that would make it possible for Jake to attend college without the burden of debt. The ripple effect of integrity. Years later, Jake would look back on that moment as the turning point in his life. life. The small act of returning a lost wallet had set him on a path toward his dream. Elon Musk's generosity and belief in his potential had changed the course of Jake's life, but it was the values Jake had learned from his parents, the importance of integrity, honesty, and doing the right thing that had made the difference. As Jake worked his way up in the world of technology and engineering, he would often reflect on how one small, seemingly insignificant moment could change everything. The act of returning a wallet wasn't just about doing the right thing. It was about setting the foundation for a future built on trust, respect, and opportunity. For Elon, the encounter was a reminder that even the smallest gestures could have far-reaching consequences. He had always been focused on changing the world with big ideas, but this simple act of kindness, by both him and Jake, reminded him of the power of human connection and the importance of fostering integrity in all aspects of life. Jake's future was bright, and it all started with a wallet, a decision to do what was right, and a belief in the ripple effect of kindness. The homeless veteran who found his way back. Danny Holt was a 52-year-old veteran who had served in the military for over 2 decades. He had seen the world, fought in several conflicts, and returned home with memories that weighed heavily on him. The transition back to civilian life hadn't been easy. A divorce, job loss, and struggles with PTSD left him feeling isolated, forgotten by the very country he had fought to protect. For the last few years, Danny had been living on the streets of Los Angeles. He had tried to find help from various veterans organizations, but the system was broken. He found himself stuck in a cycle of despair, too proud to ask for help and too ashamed to go home to his estranged family. One chilly afternoon, Danny was sitting outside a small diner in downtown LA when a man in a business suit walked by. The man paused when he saw Danny sitting alone, his clothes worn and his face weathered from years on the streets. "Hey, you look like you could use a meal," the man said, pulling out his wallet. Danny, surprised by the kindness, looked up. "I'm not asking for anything," the man smiled. "I know, but I'd like to buy you lunch. You've served your country. You deserve something more than this." Danny hesitated, but then nodded. It had been a long time since anyone had treated him like a person rather than a problem. The man led him into the diner and ordered lunch for both of them. Over the meal, they spoke about Danny's service and the challenges he had faced when returning home. The man's name was Jack. He listened attentively and didn't interrupt. For the first time in a long while, Danny felt heard. As they finished eating, Jack pushed a card across the table. "I run a program for veterans. We help with job placement, housing, and mental health services. If you ever decide you want to get back on your feet, give me a call." Danny looked at the card, then back at Jack. "I don't know if I'm ready for that, but I appreciate the offer." Jack smiled. "No rush. Just know that you have options. You don't have to do this alone." A few weeks later, Danny reached out to Jack. With his help, he enrolled in the program and started receiving therapy for PTSD. Slowly, he began to rebuild his life. A year later, Danny found a stable job as a mechanic, rented a small apartment, and began reconnecting with his children. He never forgot Jack's kindness that day. A simple act of compassion had reignited his hope for a better future. The teacher who inspired a generation. Ms. Clara Wells had been teaching middle school for over 20 years. In that time, she had seen the changes in education, from the rise of technology in the classroom to the pressures of standardized testing. But no matter how much the world evolved, her passion for teaching remained unchanged. Clara loved her students and took pride in seeing them grow intellectually and personally. However, over the years, she had started to notice a troubling pattern. Many of her students came from difficult backgrounds, broken homes, poverty, and some, like Jake had been, were working just to survive. She noticed how some students had incredible potential but lacked the resources to pursue their dreams. Many of them were disengaged and didn't see the point of education if it wasn't going to help them escape their circumstances. One afternoon, after a particularly challenging day in class, Ms. Wells sat at her desk, staring at her lesson plans. She felt like she was failing them, failing to inspire the same love for learning that had brought her to this profession in the first place. But then, as she glanced at her desk, she noticed a familiar face staring back at her. It was Jake Martinez, one of her former students. Jake had been in her class years ago, a quiet student who had never really spoken much. He'd always been smart, though, always at the top of the class. Clara knew that Jake's family struggled financially financially, but she had lost track of him after he graduated high school. Then one day, an email popped into her inbox. It was from Jake. "Ms. Wells, I just wanted to let you know that I made it to college. I'm studying engineering and I've been given a scholarship to work with Elon Musk's companies. You helped me believe in myself when no one else did. Thank you." Clara read the email over and over again. She couldn't believe it. Jake had gone on to accomplish what many thought was impossible for someone from his background. It was a reminder to her of the power of belief. She had given Jake the tools to succeed, not just knowledge, but encouragement, and the belief that he could overcome any obstacle. As the years went by, Clara continued to teach, always remembering the small moments, the words of encouragement, the smiles, the listening ear that could make a world of difference. Jake's success story became one she would share with her students, a reminder that no matter where they came from, they too could achieve greatness. These three stories highlight how small, thoughtful actions, whether it's buying someone lunch, providing mentorship, or offering a listening ear, can have profound, life-changing effects on others. The ripple effect from Jake's original act of returning the wallet continues to unfold, impacting people from different walks of life. Each story shows that even the smallest gestures can change the trajectory of someone's life in ways that are hard to predict but incredibly powerful.